So, I've been verified on Twitter. To many, this might not seem like a big deal, and frankly, to me, it isn't anymore. But it's a moment when I can confront some with an elephant in the room. For 3 years, and until this day, I am known by many as that guy on Twitter. I've been called exactly that on and off football fields across Texas, which I called my workplace for 3 years, and still today in Arkansas. In a time when social media is a part of everyday life, that stamp has become a first impression. I'm either a guy with a voice and creativity, or a young dude with way too many followers. Now more so focused on storytelling and professionalism as a reporter, I at times regret my former pursuit of raising that number. I used to think the higher the better. I'd say social influencers, be it in sports or any field, would agree that the follower climb is rewarding and even addicting. What I thought would be a stamp of approval has become a stamp of disapproval for some. But for those who know me well, they know there's a story behind the K. It actually began with YouTube.
Quench Nation, how are you doing? Welcome back to the Quench.
Through high school, I hosted fantasy football and NFL shows from a green screen in my bedroom.
My name's Nick Walters, and I'm sure you're as ready as you'll ever be for my July edition of my fantasy football quarterback rankings.
In college, many choose to focus on studies, or parties, or for those hoping to cover sports, student media. But I narrowed in on social media. In fact, at many times, my job was Twitter.
For Syracuse football, I'm Nick Walters.
When I transferred from Syracuse to UT Austin and began freelancing in 2017, Texas high school football and Twitter quickly became my niche, my primary content platform. Think of it as your job, whatever it may be, your grind, your reason to get up in the morning. Mine was high school sports, and eventually, Twitter. I spent every dime I had from childhood birthday parties or Christmases on my own camera, tripod, microphones, and even a military-grade equipment case. And yes, I do get asked if there's artillery in there. I didn't live on campus. I traveled the state, driving 3 hours at a time between Dallas and the capital to make games and class. I lived either out of my car or in and out of Airbnbs so I could cover sports statewide. Reporting and shooting for stations and websites as a one-man band, I committed my professional life and admittedly sacrificed a social life for a unique path. I earned enough in my first year of TV contract work to pay off all the student debt I'd ever have. But usually I was unpaid. So naturally, my incentive, the telltale sign of my content quality, wasn't numbers on a paycheck. It was numbers on my post engagement. The competitiveness between independent media members in the untapped digital market of Texas high school sports only escalated my sense of urgency. I forego the chance to do any internships through college, since I wanted the image of a pro, not a student. Without a degree yet, I couldn't take a full-time job at any accredited company, so I couldn't move up the industry by titles. But in the late 2010s, that didn't matter. You didn't need a fancy studio or a camera crew to get your name out there. You had retweets, likes, and shares, a worldwide community that could read your words, hear your voice, and see your face. On air no longer only meant turning a radio dial or grabbing a remote. It's a click of a link or tap on a phone. So I put all my eggs in one basket. You could say these were Twitter bird eggs. It was a daily routine. Every highlight, interview, and story accompanied by strategically put captions, slapped on timelines with the hope of seeing numbers. And it worked. Passion for my work, plus as a native Texan and a former player, passion for the game, rubbed off on people. I wasn't regularly on TV, yet outside stadiums or inside stores, I'd be recognized from my work just on their app. So I kept it up, eventually being editor-in-chief of long-running Texas high school sports site, The Old Coach. I recruited and managed a statewide team of content creators.
What I told almost everyone is that I wanted them to kick ass at whatever they wanted to kick ass at, okay? And that just means that I'm not going to be telling you I want you doing this. I want you to be doing exactly what you want to do, okay? And I want you to be doing it to the best of your ability and be doing it for the Old Coach.
Again, nobody was paid. For the most part, it's all young people looking for exposure, doing what they love. I offered the platform so they could replicate some of the success I had in years prior. And of course, all their work represented the brand I ran, thus helping my personal brand. Dozens of videographers and photographers from all stretches of Texas were credentialed, worked their tails off, and reaped the rewards. The proof is in the pudding. One got a full-ride scholarship to Nebraska to be in their creative media department. Another is a writer at 24/7 Sports at age 20. I grew off of them as much as they'd benefit from me. I was inspired to learn more about editing, pushing the limits of creative reporting. I made valuable friendships, mistakes I learned from, strides in teamwork ability, and connections with folks all across Texas high school sports. Yet, for 6 years, my primary content platform was, in whatever form, social media. I was no stranger to the highway. I drove 24 hours and back to work in New York City for a summer. When I graduated a year early in 2019, I packed my bags mere hours after flinging my cap. I hit the road for Seattle, 30-plus hours back and forth to learn the ins and outs of the TV industry at 𝘃𝗲𝗏. After spending some time back in Texas, I'm now in Little Rock, working at KARK4 and Fox 16 as a sports reporter. It's my first permanent, full-time on-air job, and I can't tell you how grateful I am to be here. Shifting my tracks to TV has changed my train of thought on social media. I'm no longer fishing for engagement. Instead, I strive to engage with viewers, invoke emotion, inspiration, and of course, as always in sports, entertainment. My time as Mr. Social Media was fun. It made me who I am today as a person and as a digital media ambassador. I wouldn't take it back if I could. If you happen to be one who's ever looked down on how I do things, the follower push, self-promotion, whatever it may be, I'm sorry I came off that way. It was all with good intention, a passion and a grind from one young guy just trying to make it. My name's Nick Walters, and I hope this gave you a little insight into the story behind the K. For Fox 16 News, Nick Walters. I'm a sign-off.